Who should be the starting striker at Mount Pleasant? Should Karim Dixon play through middle? As well as we've got good news for Waterhouse fans. All that and more on this semi-final leg 2 preview show. Yeah, people, welcome to the JPL Fan, and can you believe it? It's only 2 match weeks left before the end of the season, so let's get straight into it. We got some good close encounters for leg 2 coming up, as both leg 1s in the semi-final matchups ended 1-1. So of course we're going to go straight ahead and start with the Mount Pleasant Waterhouse match, as that will be first on the docket on Sunday. And honestly, we're going to start with the team that is easier to preview, and that is Waterhouse. I thought Waterhouse started the game a bit timid against Mount Pleasant in that first leg. I have to give them credit, because the game went on, the more and more they grew into the game. So they need to carry that momentum into this one, and I really hope they start as strong as they did in the quarterfinals against JPL Playoffs. They have to come out fighting and screaming and believe that they can take the fight to the defending champions. Alright, in terms of their lineup, we know Jefferson is obviously still out. Unfortunately, we got no word on Fletcher. It seems that he's still out from that knee injury, as well as got no word if left back Dallas is returning, but Blair did such an excellent job in the last match, might as well they keep him. So the big news, obviously a big question and big worry, starting number 9 striker Javier Bryan will recover from his shoulder injury to play in this game. Okay, we didn't get no official word for the player or the club itself, but according to Harold Tracy of It's 92 FM, he stated that he spoke with one of the player's teammates, and the teammate told him that the player should be fine. So that can be potentially pivotal news for Waterhouse and their hopes to make it to the final. I don't think they have any backup really, truly, for Javier Bryan, but hey, the depth of the bench have surprised me so far in this playoff series. So anyway, that might be good news. They need him. But what about the actual tactics by Marcel Gale? I just think he should not change nothing. Keep everybody that played in that first leg, keep the same style and tactics going. I don't think there's any super secret tactic that can be used to really beat a talented team like Mount Pleasant. I honestly think we're going to come down to heart. And Waterhouse clearly shown that they have that in spade. They just have to stick to the basics and just fight and claw their way just like they did against Tivoli. I believe they can do it. They just have to believe they can do it as well. But that is Waterhouse. What does the defending champion Mount Pleasant got to do? Their rust clearly showed in that game against Waterhouse in the first leg. Their passing game got into rhythm much quicker than I thought it would, but it still wasn't at its fluent best. McCullough did an extremely good job as usual in that inverted role, but I thought Romain Howell and Shaw struggled a bit in the centre of midfield. But I also thought Kimoni Bailey also struggled mightily on that right hand side. It just seemed that the Waterhouse defenders were ready for him, and of course he has a tendency to come inside on his left foot, and Andre Smith was also there waiting for him. So the whole idea now is that what should Tapa Whitmore do? A lot of people are discussing that maybe it is best that we put Devonta Campbell on the right, keep Green on the left wing, and we're bringing Nathaniel James in the midfield to give that creativity spark. And I must say that is actually a decent good idea, because how compact that back four Waterhouse was, and how much the Waterhouse wingers dropped back to help double up against the Mount Pleasant wingers, maybe it's best to have Devonta Campbell out there on the right. But can I tell you, I honestly believe Tapa Whitmore is going to stick with Bailey here. I still think he's going to keep faith in him. At least he will actually just see how the first half goes and maybe pull the trigger if things ain't going out to plan. Bailey has shown that on this day he can pull off the spectacular, so I think he's going to at least keep him and see how it goes. But having Campbell out there is not a bad idea. But what about the midfield? I absolutely believe that Doxley has to come into this game and start. I will replace Howell with Doxley, and I was actually very shocked that he did not start. As for Shaw, he had an okay game, but maybe this is the time for Demar Phillips to start from the beginning in that midfield. But the other big talking point is of course with the captain, Ladale Ritchie, who many believe that his lack of pace was a big issue in that back line. And with Jamari Tope back in the squad after recovering from injury, this is the right time to bring Tope back into the fold. I can't speak on how much his fitness is, but all I can say is that he had a formidable partnership with Dwyer through the majority of the season, as well as his diagonal passes from out of back. It's also a lethal weapon that can be utilized. So again, another head scratcher for Tapa Whitmore. Well, perhaps this is the biggest one left on the cards, and that is the whole issue with the starting number 9 position. So Mount Pleasant display the same issues against Waterhouse that they've been having all year round, is that where they dominate possession, dominate chances created, but they seriously slump on goal conversion. And at one point that buying Shaquille Bradford in January was supposed to illuminate that. And while he had 12 goals for Harborview at that point. He didn't exactly hit the ground running for Mount Pleasant. And you can see in the match that while he do a lot of the good work of running in the channels and sometimes holding the ball properly, but sometimes you see that his finishing lacks the confidence. So what should they do? Acosta Chung came in towards the end of the season and banked some stellar goals, as well as Bygrave has also chipped in with 1 and 2 goals towards the end of the season. The Mount Pleasant fans, and I can tell you this from hearing in the stadiums and as well as on other YouTube channels, they have been calling for a change up front, and they believe either Green should go there for the left hand side or Bygrave or Chung should play there instead of Bradford. But Bradford definitely has pressure on him, but I honestly believe that Topper Whitmore will stick with his main man. He does a lot of the dirty work right, but I just believe that Whitmore loves most of all his work ethic. So it's definitely interesting to see where that lineup comes out 1 hour before match day and see what happens. But anyways, it's going to be a huge bomb of a game. Anything can happen, honestly. I still feel Waterhouse is in this fight. I advise the Mount Pleasant fans not to underestimate this Waterhouse team. Right now I feel like they're playing out of them skin, and I would not be surprised if they pull off an upset. Anyways, all to play for once more on this Sunday, Mount Pleasant versus Waterhouse at 5 p.m. at Sabina Park. Alright, so now on to the other semi-final, and it's also equally poised, and it's Cavalier versus Arnett. Just like Waterhouse, Arnett also have their starting number 9, Fabian Reed, went down injured in that first leg. But unlike Waterhouse, I honestly don't believe he's coming back for this one. It really looks like a decent hamstring injury, and even if it's a mind strain, I don't necessarily think he can play on that. But you never know, it could be one of the final games of the season, so maybe he can push through. But seeing him line up in that red and black shirt on Sunday is unlikely. But if he's out, what should Xavier Gilbert do? In the last 1.5 matches, he's been turned into his 4-4-2, and while it showed slight varying degrees of success, especially against Portmore, he of course changed up within 30 minutes against his Cavalier team. So especially with Reed out, maybe it's best to switch back to the 4-3-3. But if he does that, the whole question of where Kareem Dixon plays will come into question. When he made his debut, he came in on the left and scored some good goals. In numerous times this season, he has switched to the left and right on the fly. So he can technically play on both wings, but many have been screaming that he should play through the middle. He does look more comfortable through the middle, I must say, but we also must keep in mind that when Xavier Gilbert did experiment with this in the last 3 matches of the season, when he played Kareem Dixon through the middle, he had varying degrees of success. They didn't exactly look as fluid, and maybe that's because the system missed the physical presence of Fabian Reed in the middle. So will he go to it? As I said, he did try it out, but he does have Warner Brown on the bench who can easily play through that number 9. Warner Brown does give you not necessarily the greatest physical component there that can match what Fabian Reed does, but he's a hard worker and as well a willing presser. But he has not scored in a while, so it'd be interesting to see if he goes with him there. When he came on in the first leg to partner Kareem Dixon, he didn't show much going forward. So if Dixon plays in the middle, then the question who plays at right wing. Gilbert normally put Kelson out of that side when Dixon's in the middle, and he had played too much when he was brilliant out there, but he's more of a center attacking midfielder. So we're not sure how that would go as well. The other headache that Gilbert has is that who starts on the left wing. Shea Smith has throughout entire playoffs have come into the game and changed the game for the better for Arnett Gardens. So he'll be tempted to start him. But I can tell you, most coaches sometimes believe that if a player is an impact sub, you want to keep him as an extra weapon in the back pocket. So that might be Arbine on the left hand side. We will see him drift in and come in on his right to get a shot on goal. It is definitely a migraine for Gilbert, one I don't envy. So it'll be another interesting story in the semi-final to see what he has decided to do. But at least I can tell you, if it doesn't work, he will not be scared to fix it as early as he can. So it will be interesting to see what happens here. As for Cavalier, in that first leg they were pretty good. They were much better than I thought they would be. Most likely definitely sticking to that running pressing game that works so well. Expect Busy Atkinson to return to that central attacking midfield role, and expect him to drop back in the middle of the park to help even the odds in midfield. I don't think any changes will be happening there. But the big question will be is that will McClary keeping smart? Shanil Thomas did come into the game and really create a spark, and he is the better of the two in terms of striking ability. So it could be a prime time to definitely bring him here to partner Calvin up front. But while McClary didn't create the greatest of clear-cut chances, he did do a lot of good defensive work from the top. So it'd be interesting to see where Rudolph's speed mind is at. But in my personal opinion, With the likes of Shaquille Stein also on the bench, I feel he could take the gamble and play Shaniel Thomas with Calvin. And if they need help, bring on Shaquille Stein much earlier. In terms of other changes, I think they'll be much easier to dissect. AJ Reed Jr. must definitely come back in that midfield in front of Cadet. As in goal, Barkley should return in favour of White. While Cavalier can switch to a 4-3-3, I don't see that happening. I definitely think they're keeping the same formation and same game plan, at least for the first 45 minutes. But speed is the master of deception, so don't be surprised if out of nowhere he flip things on his head. But I definitely expect Cavalier to come out the same way against this Arnett team. Expect Arnett to try to possess the ball much better, but also to play their passes much more quicker and direct, and expect Cavalier to try pick off those in midfield and centre back to get their counter on the way. It'll be another gripping game, honestly, and I will definitely think this will go down to the very end. I'll tell you more in my prediction at the end of the show. But again, that is Cavalier versus Arnett Gardens at 8 p.m. this Sunday. Alright, so before we get to the prediction, as usual, we will get to the poll questions. So this week's poll, I asked, what are your thoughts about the referee in both semi-finals leg 1 matches? 42 of you guys voted. The first option is that they were excellent. 21% said yes. 12% said they were horrible. And by far, 67% said they were okay, but there were definitely rooms for improvement. And I would echo those sentiments, honestly. While there were some touch-and-go decisions, especially in that Mount Pleasant versus Waterhouse games, that can easily see some yellows turn to red, they were okay for the most part. But as usual, in this league, there always room for improvement. So I won't argue there. But anyway, it's time for predictions. Who is going to the finals, people? Let's predict and see what happens. Okay, Waterhouse, Mount Pleasant. I'm going to tell you, it's a lot closer than you thought it would be. Mount Pleasant definitely have a huge, talented squad to pick from and do the dirty work. You see that their passing game eventually was coming good. They just need to convert their chances. But Waterhouse definitely seems like a team that is destined. It just seems like destiny is beckoning for this Waterhouse team. So it's a tough one. And I think Mount Pleasant edge it. I'm going to think Mount Pleasant is going to get the 2-1 victory. And I think that 2-1 victory will come in at a time, actually. I just think the overall quality of Mount Pleasant squad, they're going to bring all they can to come onto the field to equal the goals that they need. Don't be surprised if you see Bradford, Aquasa Chung, and Bygrave on the field at one time. If they need it, don't be surprised. So I think they'll get the edge here. Alright, the second game, Cavalier versus Arnett. Another tough game, and another game I think will go down to the wire. I see this going 120 minutes, and I see in Cavalier as well, edging this one out by 1-0. Is that they go 0-0 into extra time and then get the goal there, or he will get the goal in the first 90 minutes. But I definitely think with the way they were playing in that first leg and the fact that Arnett is missing Fabian Reed, they're going to get by the Junglies. So yeah, people, that's it for the previous show. I have a Mount Pleasant versus Cavalier final. Basically a repeat of last year. So what do you guys think of my predictions? Let me know in the comment section below. Will you be excited by a Mount Pleasant Cavalier final again? Let me know about that again in the comment section below. As well as if you're new here, no problem. Please like, subscribe and share as we look to keep this going to the end of the season. But for everybody else, for anything else on the Jamaica Premier League, keep it locked at the right place, JPL Fan. YouTube, big up on yourself.